So why are you walking around to this day maintaining this lie? Suggested the other day that people want to think and they'd like to believe certain things, but the reality of the situation is this: if there was genuine help and Malaya was opening up as to what happened, which I do not believe she's done or doing, this scenario would be passed and we'd have known by now what happened. I'm talking about avoiding. Malaya's doing an awful lot of avoiding in that sense. But that'll change. She's walking her two little friends around out there, going around and hanging up missing children posters in that sense. So obviously she's still maintaining this level of deception. Let's just have a listen to her again to refresh our memories what it is that she exactly told the camera the only time she stepped in front of it.
I want to hold them, and I want them home. What happened was we woke up, I heard them playing in the next room beside us, and I was drifting in and out of sleep. And they're not the type of kids that we tell them not to go outside on their own. We always make sure that we're out there with them.
So already, friends, how many little things do you have a problem with about that short statement? Because there's so much in there. That's where I knew right away that there's more to this situation when you used drifting in and out of sleep as your excuse. That's distancing physically. They all do it, especially when it's focused around hearing the kids. It's such a small place. This is no like Casa Loma. This is a trailer. Paper thin walls. You don't need to hear the door to know if the kids are inside or outside. You can hear them. Janie's no different. The door is going to be the big giveaway in all of this. The walls are so paper thin. You can have a conversation without opening the door. Come on now. Unnecessary focus on the sliding door, but it was the point in which they had to really put the blame back on Jack and Lilly in this for voluntarily opening it and walking out. Probably had to, because it's better than telling you what really happened. The reality is, none of us can verify that they were even there on Friday morning. Technically, we can't verify that they made it home at that 3:37 onward. We're assuming that they made it home at 3:37. Did Cindy see them in their video call? I don't think so. The cops probably would have said it or phrased it in a different manner. I doubt it. There's no mention of it. There was a question and a mention of it from a person who's lying, being Malaya. So what really happened? What is it they're avoiding on that particular Thursday? How did the conversation with Cindy go? Did Danny overhear something? What was the conversations with Cindy leading up to that point, I wonder? Irish, Malaya may have gone... Hold on there. Thank you very much, Michelle. I certainly appreciate that, darling. That super sticker went right to my heart. Malaya may have gone to bed and left the kids outside. Whatever happened to Daniel would blame her. And she would be terrified. This is also a lock on there is also a lock on the master bedroom door. What does that matter? I don't know. Irish girl, Malaya may have gone to bed and left the kids outside. I mean, technically it's plausible. But why were they outside in the first place? What put them outside? What got them outside? They didn't walk outside. They didn't go outside voluntarily. Into the cold, late winter, early spring night of Nova Scotia. I doubt it. Welcome, Tail. We don't know is the reality. We don't know the specifics. We don't necessarily need to. But we want to. The more information that we know, the better. Sometimes, in theory, on paper. But then when you realize it and know it, sometimes you wish you didn't know it. But as far as for being and who's criminally responsible here, yeah. Marky, like you said before, AB, they will go in one day for questioning and not come back out. They must know that's on the way, and they must be shifting their britches, not knowing when. Yeah, it's part of the game from their perspective. They've been trying to get early updates. They're probably a lot more confident now. You know, these agencies don't exactly work as quickly as anybody ever wants them to. But it's important that they get things right. Don't fuck it up. That'll be the next thing. No, they're doing their job. I don't think that anything's getting past them. The fact that major crimes is involved in the first place should really tell you what's going on. They're just not, people keep asking because God knows why. It's annoying as fuck. Because they don't want to talk about the obvious things in the room. And that's what we're here for.
I want them home. I want to hold them. And I want them home. What happened was we woke up, I heard them playing in the next room beside us, and I was drifting in and out of sleep. And they're not the type of kids that we tell them not to go outside on their own. We always make sure that we're out there with them, watching them. And they happen to just get out that sliding door, and we can't hear it when it opens. And they were outside playing, but we weren't aware of it at the time. And the next thing we knew,
Well, that statement right there reeks of disingenuity. Did I just make up a word there? I think so. Think about what she said there for a second. Who put you up to this script? Who got in your ear and decided for you that this was what it was that you were going to say? There's this we. We were drifting in and out of sleep. They were playing outside, but you weren't aware of it at the time. So at some point you've had to have gone through this already and come to some sort of agreement with another person, assuming that's Daniel and Janie, that you became aware of it later on as opposed to when you should have, according to your story narrative. It's frustrating to think about, but it's so ridiculous. It stands out so much. It's not natural. That's where I was going with it in that sense. Don't overthink what that natural means. There is no what are you supposed to do in these circumstances. This is along the lines of victimhood. This individual here is not a victim in the situation that she's presenting. Something else happened other than the story that they're presenting to the world, RCMP, investigators, public, whomever. That we've established over the past 8 months. RCMP knew that right away. Not that it's a race. but it's not getting past them. There's no smoking gun here because all of the smoking guns, which should be the smoking gun here is the parents standing here with their hands up saying the most cockamamie story is the smoking gun. Nobody fucking believes it. It's because it's not true. So therefore, investigators really have their work cut out for them no matter what, in order, not like it's their first time, because you don't expect fucking criminals and people trying to get away with child murder to simply tell you what it is that they've done voluntarily. But we're going to get there. You shouldn't be frustrated, but using and focusing on the future and what is going to happen. And what the possibilities are, what the charges they're going to face in spite of whatever gory details there are at specific incidents. We know this much based off what it is that we know and then what we think RCMP probably knows. You can get a pretty good situational awareness. Personally, I can't wait till the interviews come out. I can't wait until the body cam videos come out. But the same things are going to happen then. And the same things, if you let them, are going to frustrate you then as they're going to frustrate you now. There's going to be a new excuse. There's going to be new lies. There's going to be some new creator trying to glaze the fucking suspects online like they do. Don't let it bother you any. This is the things that you've got to force yourself through. Don't try not to hold it against too many people. Recognize what the app, what YouTube, what being able to communicate like this enables people from all perspectives to do. Whether it be the suspects, the people with information, during the most important times, which was the first little while. But in my mind, that can stretch out to whatever is going on right now because we're all floating through this ongoing crime. There's a crime that's being committed here and even more crimes in the conspiracy to cover up and continue that conspiracy covering up. This ain't no theory. This is an observation. That's being general. And don't worry about the $150,000 reward. What a stupid conversation to have at this point in time. Who, number one, cares about the fucking thing? All right? That's something that the police use as a tool to cover their own ass when they're canvassing for information. They're the only ones that matter in all of this. But people who are interested in talking about it as some sort of motive or if you're go and read the fine details over these things. It's not worth pursuing. Any of the information in this circumstance, if you have, you're going to be the suspects. But believe me, all of the suspects here, I was using a Janieism right there. All of the suspects in this situation have a reason to gather all of these fucking strangers and piece them in and filter out who they can trust to set up in order to potentially get some sort of monetary bonus, maybe even close to an attempt at the $150,000 Canadian, by the way, which is fuck all. But to a tweaker, shit. That's like a Boba Fett contract. Now, Brandy, Lindy, Miss K, they'll be in solitary, in your opinion. Oh, fuck. In a situation like this, protective custody, they'll have to be, especially before their trials. Do I think that she's ever going to tell the truth? I don't think that the truth, which should only come from these individuals, they're the individuals with all of it. And we still don't know Malaya personally. in that sense, other than what we see in this brief clip. And she's not very fucking bright. Okay, that's no insult to you, honey. But if you're going to analyze statements in this sense, you can't get away from this introductory statement and how circular it is. And how odd it is, considering that there's 2 missing children. They want to lead on that they're just going to be right back, and I wish they could find them, but they're never actually really using any of their common sense in relation to the kids not being around there at that point in time. Like, at what point is this all going to go away? You know, you hope the kids are warm. But I mean, I don't expect people there to be holding her. You don't need to yell at her and be mad and upset and chase her away in that sense. I'm just emoting for the sake of an audience in this sense. But there's something fundamentally wrong about the statement that's come out, and it's emotionally unavailable in that, or especially maybe it's just her that it's coming from in the sense. It feels without any real concern. There's no real tangible scenario that you're sharing with the public that tangible with Jack and Lilly in that sense. There's a distancing that she's trying to get across to us from not actually physically interacting with their kids on a day that she called them in sick for school at 6:15. But she doesn't want, and she's fucking around and playing she can't remember anything leading up to them. You haven't seen the kids since last night when you put them to bed with all of their clothes and their socks on. You want to paint this big elaborate picture, but you don't actually want to linguistically commit to come out and say that, yeah, Jack and Lilly put their boots on, walked out the door, and we haven't seen them again. And it must have happened like this. No, you don't even want to get like that. It has all of these over-explained stories, which are red flags. You're not telling us the truth. You're telling us what you want us to believe. But there's nothing truthful about these statements. You didn't even interact with your kids on the Friday. How would you know that they were sick? Your statements to police are an absolute fucking joke. It took them 3 weeks to get some sort of timeline together. It's because you didn't tell them the truth the first time. And they couldn't rule you guys out as being suspects. You're not ruled out in this. From the standpoint of a polygraph examination and that little protocol in order to establish their own baseline on you. If it's necessary, you don't have to be a Rhodes Scholar here to recognize the level of deception on a continuous basis.
Staying as hopeful as possible. I want them home. I want to hold them.
Hopeful, and hope is all Daniel has at this point. What nonsense coming out of the fucking parents of Jack and Lilly, people who were supposed to be protecting them. So why is it again that people like to think that it happened between the hours of 10 and midnight is probably the most common time frame where they suspect something happened to Jack and Lilly at this point in time. It's worth mentioning. It's January 14th, 2025, Darren. It has everything to do with the things that they don't want to admit to in the time frame and where things are inconsistent. And the most important aspects thus far to the bullshit narrative that's in the public eye, that's readily available, that has been since the get-go, because it was a report on the ground by Mr. Bradley Wong and Justin Smith about all of the traffic, all of the vehicular traffic around the Garlock Road residence from the hours of 12 to 4 a.m. Coming and going and remaining in earshot, turning around, all this activity over there. Well, what the fuck was going on after midnight? The fact that this is such a bizarre account from an eyewitness, you would think that people who have been victimized would be so interested in the information that their good neighbors were able to observe. But instead, they denied and start throwing all kinds of nastiness their way and baseless, trying to bring up and reasons to discredit and undermine the individuals, the eyewitnesses, rather than actually take time to acknowledge and consider the information that was provided, considering two kids have disappeared and they want to portray themselves as being victimized somehow. They still can't quite figure that out. You're supposed to believe them because they asked you to.
Do you want to know how many times I babysat that child? Twice. I looked after her twice. Once when she was outside helping Daniel with the wood because she wanted to get outside. I watched Meadow. The second time I watched Meadow was when Malaya had an episode. I think she was having an anxiety attack. The ambulance was called and they took her to the hospital. I watched Meadow until Daniel got home. That day that I watched Meadow, I got Jack and Lilly off the school bus. And I'll never forget the expression on the bus driver's face when I took Meadow and said, "Here, watch her while I get Jack out of the seatbelt." He looked at me because I just said, "You have to take Meadow so I can get Jack out of the seatbelt."
What? Unnecessary information? Reeks of it not being true in the first place? Doesn't quite remember where she's going with this. You're talking about jacking off the horse?
And I got Jack out of the seatbelt, and I got Lily, and I took the baby from the bus driver, which is Brian Ward. He's a great guy.
Just a great guy.
You've probably seen videos about him on TikTok or on YouTube. And I took the kids in the house, and Daniel arrived maybe 10 minutes after I got the kids off the bus, and he cooked them supper. Not me. He cooked them supper. And I did up her housework for her while he was feeding Meadow and Jack and Lily. So yes, Daniel did look after those children. I have not tried contacting the chief. The reason why I would have not contacted the chief. Stay off of the YouTube talks. Stay off the TikToks. Stay off of Facebook, because it would hurt their investigation. I am so tired of this investigation shit. I told them this 2 months ago.
Wow.
And yet, we had one report from the RCMP of what they have done.
Janie is frustrated with this investigation shit. Oh my God.
Them home. What happened was we woke up, I heard them playing in the next room beside us, and I was drifting in and out of sleep. And they're not the type of kids that we tell them not to go outside on their own. We always make sure that we're out there with them, watching them. And they happen to just get out that sliding door, and we can't hear it when it opens.
Why would you even think of that? If you were expressing what really happened, you don't need a script in that sense. The truth doesn't need a script. Okay? So why would you include the fact that you don't do what it is that you just didn't do? You had to tell everybody, verbalize that. It's because somebody else told you to say that in that sense. It's important. You have to let them know that we're not that type of parent. We're always out there monitoring exactly. You don't think about something like that in real time. You're too focused on the truth and the tragedy of the situation. What's wrong? Why you're there? Why you needed to call the RCMP in the first place? You don't even have a straight answer for that, honey baby. You don't even have a straight answer for why you needed to call the RCMP. It's everything's been implied upon them. To the point where you'll take it and admit to the world that you were neglectful. Who doesn't interact with their 4 and 6-year-old for 16 hours? But yet you're calling them in sick and walking and towing them around town all day at the same time. There's nothing normal about these days from Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Nothing normal at all. It was anything but typical because it was a holiday. And when you have addicts as parents, that's a reason. And these parents don't have anything else to do but get high. That's all they really do is sit around and get high all day. It's like it was sad. That's how things ended up in this relationship. And they're not even truly loving one another in that sense. They don't genuinely click. They're moments away from Malaya banning his ass for good off of all social media and out of his life. Just like she was in December, just like she's probably been several times between the December and May 1st. Their financial woes were continuing to spiral out of control. All of this pressure coming in from the Canada Revenue Agency, pressure from family. They're probably getting frustrated after being ripped off. Daniel's been doing some ripping off. They probably all smoked it through that glass dick. Fuck. Was it worth it? All they have to say is that Malaya wasn't living up to her responsibility, whatever that role really was in this household. They've told us through their language that several times that she was suffering from some sort of postpartum depression. Could they be confused over just not liking you anymore? Could they be confused over the fact that you're angry and they're just not vibing? Why does it have to be postpartum depression and all of these fake labels that you want everybody else to believe is applicable in this situation? Because really you want it to lead to that being some superseding issue that leads to the responsibility being in her, being on her more responsible than him in this situation. He was being the good guy. He's the hero. He's going to look forever, just like OJ. That didn't last very long. The next thing you know, he's telling you that there's nothing worth looking for now. There's nothing worth remembering. Nothing exciting ever happens. Nothing exciting worth remembering happened. Therefore, how could they be suspicious? I haven't given them any information about those days to be suspicious of yet. Danny's relying on some senseless logic. Things that just don't fly with cops, that stick out to cops. And he wants to put lipstick on it for you and speak about it in a different way and twist it to the people that he talks to online. To all of these individuals that he engages with. To spread the messages about what really happened. Think about all of the effort these assholes have gone through, have put themselves through. Shan says, in your opinion, a real mother protects her kids and gets her kids out of this abusive situation. I would give my life to protect my children. I think there's a certain sense of that instinct clicks in for Janie in all of this. And it's that way because she knows what happened. How could you not know what happened? How could you not know what happened? She's out there in the RV, just minding her business, playing games on her phone, and smoking, coughing, carrying on, yelling at the dog, looking at that wood board she keeps over her window. Yeah, sweetie, she knows. I can't believe that she asked the CBC to come back over after we... Remember what everybody was saying? I felt bad for her in the first couple of weeks, not knowing her yet, because people were just cutting up how crazy her living situation was. And I was trying to hold back the hordes. And I'm finally like, well, if I can't beat them, I may as well join them. And it is a shithole. Whoever has put you... Whoever... and whatever has convinced you that that was a good idea lied. And she knows that deep down. That's why she's pissed off all the time. Problem with her blood pressure. Well, the problem then is you're living in that RV. If you didn't live in that RV, your blood pressure would be fine. Yeah, Donna, I'm starting to wonder about that as well, about Justin. Why was Justin crying so hard that day, I wonder? Everybody's talking about Justin crying out on that four-wheeler. Whoa, why are you guys crying so fucking hard? What's happened that you're crying so hard? You're panicking? You're a bunch of men. You're walking around crying? Remember what Logan said about her dad? Oh, my dad, Ron, cried like a bitch for hours when I told him. Well, I'm sure he did. What the fuck's everybody standing around crying for? What are you crying for? Oh, let me cry. Listen, Janie wants to say, she comes back in that CBC interview after the back and forth and the question's already been out there, and she has to come out and say, oh, here's the reason why I was crying. And it was because if I was awake and up, none of this would have happened. Again, what is this, Janie? What is this and that and the thing that you guys keep referring to that you really avoid? You avoid it.
And they were outside playing, but we weren't aware of it at the time. And the next thing we knew, it was quiet, and we get up and I tell him, my partner, Daniel, I tell him, do you hear the kids? And he says, no. And we get up instantly. We're looking outside. We're looking everywhere, yelling for them. And I instantly just call 911. I just had the instinct I needed to call. They're both really go-lucky children. They're so sweet. They talk to anyone. They'll talk your ear off. They will speak to anyone in a store. Everyone. They're just extremely sweet kids. I appreciate the huge search effort going on right now, but we've been pushing for an Amber Alert, which hasn't been issued. Not just that they could possibly be abducted, which it is a possibility that they could have been, but just...
You know how ridiculous that is? Brandy, that makes me laugh. Logan blamed Malaya Brooks' family for not crying. Yeah, remember that move? What a sleazeball you are. Uncle Ron was crying too, allegedly. Oh, because Uncle Ron is just so much better than anybody in Malaya's family. They all come out and say shit like that. Like, what sort of individuals are you? Like, what is it you're fucking hiding when the first thing that you say, your first impression is shit talking somebody else and trying to prop yourself up? You're glazing yourself. The strongest swimmers are usually the ones that drown it, right? Right, Anita Bonita? Logan blamed her family for not crying. My Uncle Ron, my dad was crying and crying because he's just such a better individual, such a better human being. obviously. Malaya's family were all side-eyeing all of these lying son of a bitches, wondering how the fuck we're going to get Malaya out of this. Because there was something going on in the background. There was plans in progressing the situation that they were in, and every step of the way was a pantomime. It was an act. They had to get all of their friends and family over there to witness it, to make it more convincing, to sell it. They had to have an audience. Now we're going to take Meadow and she's going to go with Logan. I can take care of the kid. I can take care of another kid. I got kids already. Holy Hannah. That was sounding, you don't want to send any kids to Logan's house. So she goes on to really portray how suspicious she feels that is. Then she goes on and tells a story about the number that Malaya just put in her phone, or she exchanged numbers. It was never there before because they were just that close, even though Logan's over there glazing fucking Janie up in that RV all the time. Their paths don't cross. She's a Janie person, right? And we all know that Janie hates Malaya, so chances are Logan hated Malaya as well. Because Janie told her to. She set that example. I've got no doubt. And you could really pick that up in the conversations. But anyway, she goes on to tell the world, tell the people that she calls Malaya with the number and proceeds to prank her several times in *69 and then tell the world how technologically clever she is in these situations and wanting it to present it as though it was Malaya that had something to hide without really not being it. But the real problem with that is it shows you the type of individual that Logan is. She's not well-intentioned. She's looking to chase down Malaya in that time, prank her, be deceptive, deceive, manipulate, and all in order to what? That's the type of person Logan is. She's just a nasty fucking pig. She's such a catfish too, bro. Like, even on her Facebook profile picture from a mile away, she's got such a thick filter on that. It should be a crime. It should be illegal. You shouldn't be able to walk around and represent yourself as a certain way when it's really completely different. But it goes more to show about her character in that she's really living this persona, this false persona that really wants to be beautiful. And she takes every opportunity in the comments section under sock accounts to, slander Malaya's looks. Because there are really some incestuous vibes going on here. That's no shit. How far does it go? Well, I guess we're finding out. I'm sure it'll come out in the wash.